What's up? What's up? Coach Tony here with UC Admission Secrets. Welcome. Happy Monday. Welcome back. Hope everyone's having a great start to your week so far. Today, we have a really special guest with us today. We have one of my amazing students, Chloe. I worked with her this past year, so the class of 2021 cohort. She has been amazing. She's here now. So then I'll go ahead and bring her on. Quick format of the structure. I know a lot of people are jumping on right now. So if you're here, say hi in the comments so I know you are here. So I can say hello back to you. And if you're watching the replay, just let me know you're watching the replay as well too. But I'm going to go ahead and bring her on. She'll do a quick introduction of herself. And let's go back and forth, right? Back and forth, kind of talking about high school life, talking about high school all the way up to like college admissions time, which is like last year, kind of where I came along in the picture with her, and then her journey the past few like those during those admission months. Maybe she'll drop one or two secrets that I told her so that she can share with you all as well too in the admission cycle, and then we'll just go from there. And feel free, it's open format as well too. So if you are here live, definitely say hi. If you have any questions as well too, drop in the comments. We'll see we have time to ask them all. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring her on right now. And hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Cool. So welcome. We're live in a few groups right now. So like all different areas. So hello. So yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick and we'll go ahead and get started.
Hi, my name's Chloe and I'm an out-of-state student. So I'm from New York, actually. A little bit about myself. Let's see. I knew the UCs were one of my like top choices when I was doing my college research. So those were at the top of my list. UCLA is actually my dream school. So I'm really glad that I found Coach Tony, who was able to guide me throughout the process. I guess some context for me is that I come from a suburban public high school with approximately like 4,000 students and a graduating class of around 874 students. So it's a really big population. But I managed, to work and persevere for the past 3 years. And I'm currently about top 6% of my class. So
super impressive. Awesome. Yeah. So first off, you're out of state. I think a lot of students I work with are in state. So when I work with Chloe, she's like, yeah, I'm from New York, right? I'm from New York. I was like, whoa. So one, I think everyone knows that like the admission rates for out of state is a little more competitive than it is for in state. But can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what was different about being an out of state student versus being an in state student? Yeah, can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, since the UCs are public schools, they tend to favor in-state California students. Like it says it on their website too. They're very straightforward with it. So I was kind of nervous going into the UC process because I felt like, oh, maybe, since out-of-state students kind of put at a higher, there's like more requirements or like higher standards for out-of-state students. So I was kind of nervous and kind of felt discouraged by how low the acceptance rate was for out-of-state students. But it all really comes down to using your resources and whatever is provided for you. And pretty much with any college, all the admissions officers look at you in the context of your high school and your district. Like they don't compare you to someone in a different state. They compare you with the students that you go to school with. So don't worry about what a student is doing in Arizona when you're in like Texas. So make sure you be familiar with the people, your classmates, be familiar with your classmates and try to, this might sound bad, but try to like outdo them in a way. And, I think Yeah.
No, 100%. I think that's one of the first things I told. I think Chloe was super like scared about the competitiveness, right? Because UCLA, one of the I think the most competitive UC out of every single one. And she was scared because all these other top students. I'm like, no, let's bring it back local context. So it's like same thing when I work with all the students, right? Think about your high school. You just want to stand about in your high school class because that actually means more than the actual pool itself. Because then, of course, there'll be really, really smart people, right, in the people applying, but don't stress too much about them. Just focus about what you can control, which is within the context of your school. Super awesome. Besides academics, what did you do? Like, how'd you spend your time, like from freshman to senior year?
Yeah. So I went into high school thinking, oh, you have to do sport in order to get into college. That's not true. I did track for 2 years and I felt like I was forcing myself to do it. I didn't actually enjoy it. So I dropped it in the middle of sophomore year and really focused into what I wanted to do. So I got more into volunteering, and I know, it's very common for a lot of students to join Key Club. But I think it's a really good organization to join because, it's very well known, but you also can't just rely on, that it's a well known club or organization. You really have to, push forward and kind of reach out and talk to members of your community about, what's going on. Can you help out in local shelters, or can you do some sort of drive to help your community? So I did Key Club for 4 years, and I became the secretary and co-vice my junior year. And then my senior year, I became the senior officer advisor. So I kind of advised the incoming and the new officers for, the new term. I also did global outreach, which is also kind of like Key Club, another volunteering organization. And I did that for 3 years from sophomore to senior year. I didn't hold a officer or leadership position, which, you don't have to. You don't have to be president, or you don't have to be a board member of every single club in order to stand out, because, if you're miserable, that's not going to, benefit you. But yeah, that was also another club I did. I did student organization, and I'm currently a senior council senator for student organization, which is one of the, I think it's like the main club of my school, at least. I'm not really sure if every school offers it, but we get to kind of gather all of the students and talk about any issues or problems that the students might think, that the students want to be changed. So we kind of talk it out with the student organization advisor, and she passes it along to like the principal and all the APs. So that was another thing. I did 2 internships, 2 paid internships, and then 1 internship with Coach Tony over the summer. So I actually wrote an essay, I think the middle of my junior year for a hospital, and I got chosen to win an internship. So that was really cool. Because of COVID, it moved to virtual, which is kind of a bummer, but it worked out eventually. So I had an online internship with a hospital for 6 weeks. Yeah, for 6 weeks. And then on top of that, I had another internship at the same time that my school gave, like my school district offered to students. So I did that. That was also remote, in which I don't know how to explain it. Like, I was kind of like a promotion kind of intern, in which we kind of helped promote, like, I don't know how to explain it. So we basically we worked with a congregational organization in New York, and we basically helped to try to promote like public health, safety precautions because of COVID, and kind of find a way to kind of help the organization advertise and promote their ideas and their mission statement to the community. See what else I did. I think those were like the big extracurriculars that I did. But yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like you did a lot. You basically maximized a lot of your time throughout the fresh. Yeah, go ahead.
So, for not this year because of COVID and I couldn't do it in school, but freshman to junior year, I was co-vice president or co-director of the student musical production for the art committee because I like art. So that was fun. Yeah.
Super awesome. I think, yeah, you definitely did a lot. I think that's one of the things that I remember stood out on your application. You just did a bunch of different things. From the things that you chose to do, was a lot of it because, colleges will look at this in a good way, or was it, I like this, I'm interested in this, let me pursue it a little more? Which of those did a lot of your activities fall under?
The sports definitely fell under, I have to do this in order to get to college. And then I, soon realized that that's not the case. So I immediately dropped it. And then I went into, Key Club and volunteering because my school has a volunteering service credit requirement. So I had to, do some volunteering in order to graduate anyways. So I went into Key Club, thinking, it was for this purpose. Then I eventually fell in love with it because of how active the club was and how it let me, go out on the weekends because I didn't really have anything to do on the weekends. So those clubs helped me kind of, I guess, push me to be productive on the weekends. So that's when I kind of layered on top of it with more of those volunteering clubs. And yeah, I didn't really do it for college admission solely. It was more of just personal interest.
Super awesome. I think that's one of my big things I push a lot of families and students to do as well too. Like, if you pursue things you enjoy or like you're interested, you might not enjoy, but like that sounds interesting, let me try it out, kind of thing. Like, you are more invested in it, which means makes it doing more of it super simple, kind of thing. And you can see Chloe kind of took everything to the extreme of like going to leadership positions, doing everything. So she's doing amazing there. So let's flash forward a little bit to senior year. So when did we meet? And then how was college admission season for you?
We met I think it was beginning of June.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beginning of June. And at that time, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't thinking about college admissions. I was like, maybe I could push this off to, August, because that's when all the application portals, not portals, like the applications start to open. So I was like, I'll wait then in order to do it. But then I met Coach Tony. I saw him on TikTok. He was on my For You page. So then he was promoting Career Tide, the summer camp. So I was like, okay, this looks interesting. So I signed up for it. And I'm glad that I did, because if I didn't, this wouldn't have happened. So I signed up for it, and we, throughout the summer, that was one of the things that I really put a lot of emphasis on, because I didn't know anything about, the college admissions process, and Coach Tony specializes in that. And he helped me, he guided me throughout the process. And, throughout the virtual summer program, it wasn't just about college admissions. Like, there was more than college admissions, like beyond college, career. We got to meet a lot of professionals in different fields. So that was really interesting. And it exposed, not only to me, but all the other students that joined the program. And we were all exposed to different fields that, we weren't even considering before, but, are considering now. So that was, how we met. And then around August 1st was a big date, because that's when all of the applications open, and that's when you can start filling out your applications. So at this point, I kind of had a little bit of my college list down. Really funny story, actually. When I was making my college list, I don't know if I told you this, but I sat down with my parents and I had like 60 schools on my list. And Coach Tony helped me. I narrowed it down to a little bit, maybe like 30 or 40. And then I sat down with Coach Tony and he helped me narrow it down. And he told me, like, you need to consider location. Like, where do you want to be? You have to consider, cost, obviously. What else? Like, do they have your major? Like, don't just go for the name. Like, go if they have what you want to study, because if you're, that's the whole point of college. And a few other factors. And he, taught me some key tips on what I should be looking out for when doing my research on my schools. So we eventually narrowed it down. And that's when, the UCs came. So I applied to 5 UCs, 5 out of the 9 UCs. And I'm sure many of you guys know I got into 4 of them so far. I'm still waiting on Berkeley, but I got into Irvine first, and I applied as a biological science major. And then the second school I heard back from, the second UC I heard back from was Davis. I applied as a biological science major. Third one was San Diego, and I applied as a human biology major. And I guess I can talk a little bit about this too. The UC San Diego is the only UC that makes you rank colleges within the school. So on top of doing research on my major for UCSD, I had to do research on the colleges, which is like, I guess you're the main college you're going to be in if you decide to go. So I got in for a human biology major under Marshall College, or Thurgood Marshall College, which was the second college choice I ranked on my application. UCLA, I got admitted for pre-human biology and society. And UC Berkeley, which comes out, I believe, this Thursday, I applied as an integrative biology major. So, yeah.
Super awesome. Can you chat a little bit about I think people think that it's literally just one, like a bio major for every school. Can you chat kind of why each school, or if you know why each school, like you can't be the same major for every single school across the board? Or how that process work when you like, how'd you know to pick like these different majors per different school? Yeah.
So I knew when I was deciding on a major, like I originally was like, oh, I'm gonna apply to biology like everywhere, like standard biology. But then I thought about it. I was like, I don't really want to study about plants. I want to study about like human science and human biology, or health science. So I eventually found out that human biology was actually a major. So that was, my number one choice for my major, as well as health sciences, but the UCs didn't offer health science. So human biology is pretty much, in the same realm. So, UCLA and UCSD had the human biology major. So that's what I chose. But then I also, for UC Irvine, you apply as a biological science major, and then you apply, like you take the basic prereqs for the biology major your freshman and your sophomore year, and then you apply for the human biology major your junior year. So that's what I did. That was my plan for UCI. UC Berkeley, integrative biology, one of the concentrations is human biology. So that was the one I went with. I originally was going to go with public health, but then I don't know, I was kind of like back and forth with those two. But I knew for a fact, like if I ended up going to Berkeley, if integrative biology wasn't, wasn't going to work out for me, or I didn't like it once I took a few classes in that, I could always change. And that goes with every UC. UCs don't admit by major. So, I mean, unless you're like in engineering or like computer science or something, or nursing, like those are the ones that you can't really switch out switch into once you're in, because it's more competitive and it's like impacted when you apply for them. So those are the only exceptions. But as long as the major that you want is in, or that you're now considering is in like the liberal arts college, like the letters and sciences college, you can always change within, and it's really easy. So that was my plan for Berkeley. And then Davis, I applied as a biology major because that's what Davis is highly ranked for. They're ranked for their life and natural sciences. So that was, my pathway. So I was fine with doing regular biology at Davis. And the reason why I decided to choose those majors was because I eventually want to be a PA. I want to go to PA school. And it just makes more sense to take a life science, to be a life science major. Although it's not required, it's easier. So yeah, so that's just, it hits the prerequisites for PA school applications a lot faster.
Super awesome. There's a question that a parent asked, but I want to ask you directly. So maybe you'll answer indirectly through this. When we worked together and we did a bunch of hours, I remember a bunch of hours working through this. How much of that was me asking you about the APs or the SATs?
Like really little.
There's your answer, whoever asked that question about the APs or SATs. I think a lot of parents are stuck on the idea of like the AP testing or these standardized testing being a huge component. We barely talked, I think, 1 minute.
Yeah.
I was like, what are your scores? Cool, moving on. And then that's, for me, and that's not a big factor, right? So I think working with the right person to know exactly what the colleges are looking for is a huge component, because like I know a lot of students gonna be stressing out these AP tests, all these other tests is coming up. And I tell students, do your best, right? Do your best, but that's not what the admissions officers really, really want and are looking at. Let's focus on the thing that does matter. So thinking back to us working together, what was the biggest thing that we spent the most time on?
The PIQs.
The PIQs. Yeah, for sure. That was, for me, I believe that is the biggest thing. So we had 4 really, really fun prompts that we worked back and forth. What was your favorite one? And you're going to share a little bit about that.
My favorite one was my one about makeup.
Yes, yes.
Let me pull up the prompt actually. The prompt was basically about how do you like creatively express yourself, and I wrote about makeup. The reason why I wrote about this was because I see makeup as a form of self-expression, but I also see it as a form of art, because you're using you basically, like, just imagine like when you're painting, you use a canvas, right? So just imagine your face as the canvas. That's kind of like how I portrayed the I guess the idea. But yeah, that was my favorite one. The other essays that I wrote about, so that was one essay. The second essay I wrote about was about being an only child, and how that taught me to be independent, and how that kind of forced me to, get out of my own bubble and kind of reach out and find my own resources, and then use those resources to take advantage of those resources in order to, push me forward. The third one I wrote about going from a very small Asian-dominated community, because I grew up in a very small private school, and then my transition into a big public high school that exposed me to slightly more diversity, and then how that kind of pushed me into public outreach and public speaking. And then my final one was about my favorite class, or my favorite subject that I'd taken in high school, and I wrote about my medical assisting elective, because I want to pursue something in medicine. So I thought that was a really fun class.
For sure. I think that's super awesome because the 4 topics. Here's another question for you that I see in the comments as well too. So a lot of people talk about themes, right? Like you have to have all these 4 things about a theme. How much did we talk about these 4 have to be exactly the same about a certain theme?
We didn't like. I remember I sat down with Coach Tony, and he was just like, "Just tell me everything you did in high school. Like, tell me everything you did in high school." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I don't know where to start." But then I basically told him everything from like freshman year until the time we were, when I started doing the application. And he was just like, "Okay, like let's match what you did with the prompts." So you don't really need to go with a theme. Like you don't have to plan everything. Like you don't have to align everything together. Like if you want to pursue medicine, right? You don't have to do everything science related. You don't have to volunteer. Like your extracurriculars don't have to be only volunteering in a hospital or anything medical or science related. Like you don't need to have a theme. I guess the only theme you should have is just being honest and be yourself. Like I would say that's like the only theme. But
100%. Yeah, I
yeah.
completely agree. We have I think we went a little too fast. So a lot of people are asking, what is a PIQ? If you want to talk about what the PIQ is.
The PIQ is a personal insight question, and it's the UC's form of a personal statement or personal like essay. Like if you apply to a school through the Common App, you do like one main essay and then your supplementals. But with the UCs, they give you the choice to choose 4 out of 8 prompts, and it doesn't matter which 4. Like there's no specific formula. Like you can choose 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then another person can do like 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Mhm.
3, 4, 5. Yeah. So it doesn't matter like which prompt. Like one prompt isn't going to make you stand out more necessarily. It's more about what you write. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I completely agree. Awesome. Cool. That's awesome. I'm super proud of you. You worked super hard. I just kind of just collected your skills together is what I did, but I think you did all the hard work. If there's one piece of advice you want to give, because a bunch of the parents in this group, they have a lot of them have students junior year, several have sophomore year, and some freshman year as well too. What's one piece of advice you want to give to kind of any of the groups or even all 3 groups that you think will make a big impact for them?
Okay. Freshmen, you don't have to think about this now. Relax. Relax. That's way too early. And I know a lot of parents, kind of don't really want to, I guess, understand that in a way. But it's freshman year is just too early. So just be comfortable with your new school and, do a few, join as many clubs freshman year, because when you're going to sophomore year, that's when you really choose and decide where you fit in terms of clubs and your interests. That's my tip for freshman year. Sophomore year, start to take really challenging classes or as many challenging classes as you can. I know for me, freshman year, I took only 1 honors class, right? And I took 1 honors class because my high school didn't accept me into their early AP program, which I was kind of bummed about, but then obviously it worked out fine. But sophomore year, if you can, start taking your APs and build up on your honors classes, the most challenging classes you can. I know a lot of people kind of slacked their sophomore year. Like, try not to slack your sophomore year because the UCs count your sophomore and your junior year grades. They don't count your freshman year. So your freshman year, I'm not telling you to slack, but it's not going to matter as much. But sophomore year is when it starts counting, and you really need to put in the work. So that's for sophomore year. Junior year, this is the tricky year. So sophomore year, I would say like the summer going into the summer going into junior year, that's when you want to start doing your college research. I would say good time is like June. Yeah, June is a good time to start building your college list and writing down some schools that you might be interested in. I suggest just jotting down like schools without even researching them first, and then take those schools and then do your research. I think that was the most challenging thing that I had in the beginning was deciding where I should start in terms of building my college list. Just write down all the schools that you know of, and then you'll eventually find more about the schools, and then you'll come across new schools. So that's another thing. Junior year, that's typically when a bunch of people pronounce as the hardest or the most challenging year, because that's when students tend to take the most APs. So yeah, another thing, I mean, like I said, for sophomore year, rigorous coursework is important. You need to show colleges that you're challenging yourself, and that's one of the big things that you need to consider is you need to do well in your classes, but they also have to be rigorous. So it's like, confusing and challenging. Like, how are you supposed to maintain a good GPA, but then take all these like really, really hard classes? So one tip I have to give you is, I guess, enroll in classes that you think you're capable of doing. Don't just enroll in classes because you think colleges are going to accept you. Like, no college is going to accept a student that's taking 5 APs but failing all of them. That means nothing. Okay, so let's just say you have a student who's taking 5 APs but are getting like B's. Like, B's are okay, but C's are kind of stretching it. 1 or 2 isn't going to do anything, but if you're getting C's in like every single class and you're taking like hard classes, maybe you should not take as many. Like, you should maybe consider talking to your guidance counselor and maybe toning the coursework down a bit, versus a student that's taking 2 or 3 APs and they're getting A's and B's. Who do you think is going to look better on paper? The student that's taking the 3 AP classes but doing really well in them. So that's something you really need to work out as well. Senior year, your first semester of senior year is really important. Still, don't get senioritis, because colleges will see your first semester. The UCs won't, but private schools will, because they ask for mid-year grades. But even if you're only applying to UCs, don't slack. You shouldn't slack, because eventually your school is going if you decide to go to a UC, you're going to have to send your final transcript at the end of senior year anyways, and if they see that drop, they can resign you. They could take back their acceptance. So make sure you don't slack off. Kind of went on a tangent a little bit, but
that was I think you nailed all 4. I completely agree with all 4 years. So yes to all those as well too. Cool. We have time. Maybe one last quick question from our parents right here. Oops, wrong one. I'm going to answer that one off because it's a little off topic, but this one, I saw this one earlier. Did Coach Tony assist in picking which PIQs and best angles for each questions? How about outlining the essays and iterations? So, okay. And then I'll throw in how often do we meet and how much time do we really spend on this?
Yeah. So the one PIQ prompt that Coach Tony stressed to stray away from was prompt number 8, which was about what makes you stand out of all the other applicants to the UCs, right? His reason for that was, unless you've cured cancer, don't use this prompt, because chances are it's not really going to make a big impact. So the other 7 PIQs are the way to go. Any of the other 7, just not 8. Because I I mean, I didn't consider 8 either because I was like, oh, I don't think I can write, I can't answer this good of a question. But, that, assured me that, to take that prompt out of my choice list. But to answer your question, yes, he did assist in a way, but it wasn't like, oh, you have to do prompt number 2 or you have to do prompt number 3. Like, he didn't do that. Like, he, once I told him all of my extracurriculars and what I did throughout high school, he helped me. He recommended, you did, I'm not really sure what the exact prompt for number 2 is, but basically, for example, like let's just say prompt number 2 was the one about creativity. I mentioned to him that I was part of the art committee for my school student musical production, and I also mentioned that I like doing makeup. So he was like, oh, maybe this is going to fit in really well, or this could fit prompt number 3, which was, let's just say it was about like what's one talent or one skill that you have, right? I think makeup is one of my skills, I guess. So he was like, oh, maybe this might fit for 3. Like, which one do you feel comfortable with? So that's how he assisted. And then the other part of the question, best angles for each question. I'm not really sure what that means.
I think angles is like given. I think you kind of answered it a little bit, but like given this question, you should say it this way. Like, did I tell you exactly what to? Yeah.
So he said to stray away from storytelling. Like, you only have 350 words for each prompt, so you have to be very straightforward. Don't use like, I know like we're all taught in English class, oh, we should use imagery to build like context or whatever. But you only have 350 words. That's not a lot of words. So you have to be very straightforward. For me, at least, I actually did a little bit of storytelling, but Coach Tony said it worked out. So I trusted him and it worked out. So, but he did recommend to stray away from storytelling because it is going to, if you do storytell, it's going to drag on and you're going to lose a lot of your words. And like I said, 350 words is not a lot. Because you're basically crunching in the past, your entire high school career into 4 prompts. So you need to be very straightforward with it. So how about outlining the essays? And yeah, so basically after he helped me, after he recommended me which prompts would go with what I did in high school, I started writing, and he would, check up on me. I would say like twice a week, like twice a week, 3 times a week. And he was like, how far are you on, your first essay or your second essay? And I would update him on that. And he would go on to the Google Doc that I would share with him with my essays, and he would make, tweaks, and he would make comments and suggestions. So, that helped guide me into the direction, into my final direction. And then eventually when I finished all of my essays, and, to me, it was like the final, I asked Coach Tony to look over them and read them. And then he made his last suggestions and he was like, okay, that's it. Like, we're done with the PMQs. So, yeah.
Super awesome. That's great. I think, as you say, I just think back. I remember all those essays. The makeup one's my favorite, by the way. I'm so amazed at that one still. I'm like, wow, she tied it in perfectly. So super awesome there. Cool. Was there ever a moment where I said something that you didn't agree with? Or advise you on like you should or shouldn't do anything, and you're like,
No. Like, I completely agree with everything that you said. I didn't doubt like his recommendations or his advice for a second, because me, I didn't actually know what I was doing, like, by myself. So then I had, I trusted him, and I'm glad that I trusted him, because if I didn't trust him, I wouldn't have, made the choices that I did on my application. So yeah, I totally agree with everything that he had to offer.
Super awesome. Yeah, I think for me, working with Chloe, the she just works so hard and kind of thing. And then the working with her essays was awesome too. Working with her this past few months was amazing. Super easy to work with. I know some students always were like, no, like I don't agree. I'm like, oh, you can not agree that, but I'm gonna say it this way. She worked so hard, and that's and then she sent me a text when for every school you got in. Hey, I got in so and so. And then I get pumped too. I get super pumped, like we did it, kind of thing. And then can you share what you told me about UCLA? You got to UCLA and you said something after, if you want to, and that completely, like, I was in cloud nine kind of thing. If you want to share what you said there as well too.
So, I guess a little bit of context into the UCs, because I'm a out-of-state student and UCs are public. It's very expensive. They give like little to nothing. I mean, I would say they give absolutely nothing to out-of-state students, unless you're Regents, which is like top 1% of all applicants, which is very, very hard. But out of all of the UCs I've gotten so far, UCLA was the only one that gave me money, a little bit money. But I believe it was beginning of February, I got an email from UCLA's financial aid office, and they told me to apply to their alumni scholarship. I didn't know about this when I initially applied, but then when I got this email, I was like, maybe there's a chance I could get a scholarship. So it was a really easy application. It was basically like my UC application. So I kind of just copy and pasted my UC application onto the scholarship application, because the the scholarship committee is different from the application committee. So it's a different set of people reading your application. So it's not like you're seeing repeated information. You're basically giving new information to new people, or the same information to new people. So it was just, extracurriculars, some stuff, personal information about me, and then I had to write like 2 short essays, like 200 words each. So that kind of gave me hope in terms of scholarships. I don't know if I got them yet, because they just started reading, because they weren't going to read the scholarship applications for students that didn't get admitted. So, they just started because UCLA came out on Friday. Yeah. So I was really excited about that, because as I mentioned before, UCLA is my top choice. So getting some sort of good news that, they're giving me money, will help me. It gives me hope that I might be able to afford it.
Super, super awesome. So yeah, super, super proud of you. I crossing fingers now for that last school, because we have a clean sweep. We're waiting for Berkeley. I think we're all Berkeley's the last school to let everyone know. So Berkeley likes to be a tease and wait to everyone. So let's make a clean sweep this upcoming week. Thank you, Chloe, for being so amazing. You've been a pleasure to work with the past few months as well too. If it's okay with everyone watching live, I'm gonna go ahead and invite you, if you want to work with me as well too. I'm gonna go ahead and share real quick. Just book a game plan call, strategy call with me. Basically, this is a free call, right? 20 minutes long. It's gonna be with the student, not with the parents yet. So with the student, if you have a child, or if you're a student watching right now, it's for you. So you just go here. I'll type the link in a bit, but you'll pop up this page right here. If you're a student, you're either junior, sophomore, freshman, or even an 8th grader. And you want to go to a UC school, just like Chloe got into a UC school as well too. And you like my help in supporting along the way, I'll go ahead and write the link right here, coachtimely.com/game plan. Oh, there's a link right there. UC Admissions game plan. Once you click on there, it'll take you to a calendar link. Pick one of the times that work best for you. So for example, I'm free tomorrow at 4. It'll go to your time zone if you're not. Like I know Chloe's on the East Coast, so right now is like 8:45 for you over there, 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be a different time zone. Click it. Once you confirm it, smaller questionnaire. The whole goal of this call is for me to see if I can help you, what your child's goals are, and if I can support a journey. Best case scenario of this call is that it sounds good. We'll jump on with the parents for the secondary call. And if it's not a good fit, for example, I know I'm not able to support, or your child's not at the level yet where they need me, I'll just send them back to the free group as well too. But any tips, advice for people thinking, Chloe, if they should work with Coach Tony or not?
I definitely recommend it. Definitely recommend it.
Super awesome. Cool.
He's going, okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, he's going to like tell you, like he's going to do a walkthrough of the application with you, because I didn't know how to navigate it because none of my school counselors knew anything about the UCs. So he helped me with it, and he did every single section and he explained it thoroughly. So that really, really helped. So I recommend.
Thank you for the recommendation. Super awesome. So cool. That's all the time today. Thank you, Chloe, for your time. Thank you, everyone. We have a lot of people on tonight. So thank you, everyone, for jumping in live. And we'll see everyone. I'll see you in the game plan call, or